What's going on, everyone? In this video, we're going to talk about the different types of lenders that you can use to build your vacation rentals. Welcome back, everyone. So when it comes to different parts of your team, the lender is one of the most important pieces of your team. Without the lender, you will have almost no way to get your projects off the ground. Now, if you plan on building your projects using all cash, I still recommend watching this video because there are a couple options I'm going to talk about that you may want to utilize. In this video, I'm mainly going to talk about construction loans. However, most of the lenders I talk about and recommend do also offer financing on already built vacation rentals. In part 2 of this video, I'm going to talk about all the different questions to ask the lenders. I tried doing it all in one video, but it turned out to be a very long video. However, I do want to talk about one of the questions here, which is if the loan is going to be a one-time close versus if it's going to be a two-time close. A one-time close is where the lender will fund the entire construction. Then once the construction is complete, they will roll the loan into a permanent fixed rate loan. The main benefit to this is you do not have to pay for two sets of closing costs. That can save you tens of thousands of dollars on the back end of the loan. Also, it also allows you to be more flexible with your finances with a one-time close. With a two-time close loan, you have to requalify for the loan to convert it into a permanent loan. So you have to go through all the paperwork again. That means that nothing can change in your finances. You can't take on new debt, and you essentially have to keep the same job in the year that it takes to build the project. For a one-time closed loan, the lender does not follow up with your finances once the loan is converted to a permanent loan, essentially once you get your certificate of occupancy. Now, there are a couple benefits to using a two-time closed loan. When I first started, I didn't know the difference, and I went with the first lender that would just approve me. That ended up being a lender that had a two-time closed loan product. One benefit that I realized from using a two-time loan close is the second loan is essentially a refinance into a permanent loan. So for example, we built our first cabin for $150,000 and it appraised for $275,000. The lender allowed us to then pay off most of our debts and cash out some of the money to use for future projects. You simply cannot do that with a one-time closed loan. So that was a big benefit there because the debt I had was used to purchase furnishings for the first cabin, because when I started I didn't really have too much money. What I recommend is if you don't plan on pulling out any money, then go with a one-time close loan. Another thing to think about is the money that you're pulling out should be more than the money it costs to go through another closing. If it's not, then you're better off just using a one-time closed loan, if that makes any sense. So if it costs more to do the second loan than you are pulling out the money, then it makes zero sense to do it. If you're using a commercial loan to build multiple properties at the same time, like we're doing next year, you'll more than likely go through a two loan scenario. Most commercial lenders don't do a one-time closed loan. So the three types of loans I'm going to talk about here are traditional loans, non-QM loans, and hard money loans. Non-QM loans could also be looked at as portfolio loans. So first, traditional lenders are going to be lenders like banks. This is going to be the most intensive way to secure a loan and most extensive way to secure a loan. I say intensive because it gets pretty stressful, but it may be one of the best ways if you're just starting out. Before you pursue a traditional lender, you should first know that they're going to be looking at your credit score pretty heavily. They're also going to be looking at consistent income coming in, and they're also going to be looking at if you can put in about 5 to 20% as a down payment. If you're going to use a traditional bank, I'd recommend using a credit union in your area. They usually have better loan products and they are more flexible when it comes to underwriting you and the loan both. The reason for that is a lot of the credit unions hold their own loans on their own books. If you're unsure where to find these credit unions in your area, I've included a link below that shows all the information just by entering in your zip code, like just all the different credit unions in your area. I'd also look for a credit union that offers portfolio investment loans if you're looking to build more than one property at the same time. I actually started off with a traditional lender. The first cabin that we built was 830 square foot and it was an A-frame. I used a traditional bank and the loan was a residential loan. I had let the lender know that I had intentions of moving into the home, and after closing, I lived in the home for about 6 months prior to moving out. After I moved out, I then put the home on Airbnb, and that's where I've been renting it out ever since. This can be a bit of a touchy area, so talk to your lender prior to doing something like this. It's up to you if you want to tell them that you're going to use it as a short-term rental. Some lenders, once you tell them that, will not allow it, and some lenders will. It's just you just have to gauge the rapport that you have with your lender, essentially. You will have to sign a document at closing stating that you do intend to occupy the home after closing, so just keep that in mind. I recommend using this method if you're just starting out because it allows you to build your first home and gain the experience of the build process, which is very important. This method is sort of the vacation rental version of house hacking that you see all over, right, in books and different YouTube videos and courses and stuff. The second type of lender that I'm going to recommend is using a non-QM or portfolio lender. These lenders are relatively new. They've been around like 5 to 8 years, or at least they've become really big in the last 5 to 8 years. They offer better rates than hard money lenders, and they're also super flexible with their terms. These lenders offer pretty fast financing. I've seen like deals get done in like 15 days, which like right now in 2021, it's taking like more like 45 to 80 days, which is crazy. It's like 6 months. Again, each lender has their own investment criteria when it comes to these portfolio lenders. What I've found is these lenders will also look at your net worth, or it will look at the net worth of the borrowers. But on top of that, they will also underwrite the actual investment itself. So the actual Airbnbs, they'll look at like debt to income ratios, but they'll also look at something called a debt service coverage ratio, which is essentially a number that they look at that shows how likely that the property is for paying off its debt. This means that the lenders will be looking at the income that the property can generate compared to the income of the actual borrower, like I said in the traditional lenders. For the 6 projects I'll be taking on next year, I'm using a non-QM lender to fund the projects. One of the cons of using a lender like this is they do require some sort of experience when it comes to the construction side. So right now, by the time I take that loan out, I'll have like 5 homes under my belt that I've developed. However, this requirement can be filled if you're hiring an experienced general contractor to build your projects. Just keep that in mind. If you haven't built anything and you want to dive headfirst into it, if your builder meets their requirements, you don't have to meet their requirements. I hope that makes sense. Lastly, we have hard money lenders. Hard money lenders is the old way of financing properties. It's sort of like the extreme version between, so you have like non-QM lenders in the center, and you have traditional banks on this side, and you have hard money lenders on way this side. I would only recommend using hard money lenders if you can't qualify with the other lenders that I have mentioned so far. The reason being is if you're building properties, you're going to be paying a very high interest rate. The hard money lender in my area charges 11%. And I've seen go upwards of like 15 to 16%, which is like credit card debt at that point. These are usually short-term loans and are only used for the construction phase of the project. Once the construction is done, the loan is then converted into a permanent loan with a different lender. Take it from me, 11% is a lot. If it even takes you 6 months to finish your first project, you will be paying a crazy amount in holding costs. Holding costs are the costs associated while you're building the homes. Usually the construction loan is interest only during the building phase. I was thinking about getting a $615,000 loan at 11% for 2 projects I'm currently doing. Once I put the numbers into a loan calculator, I realized that I'd be paying close to $6,000 a month just in holding costs. Once the entire project was completed, I would have been paying like close to $6,000 a month. If it takes a couple extra months to refinance out of the construction loan, then you're going to be going way over budget very quickly. So like, say it takes an extra 2 months. Like I said, these are short-term loans. So say if it takes an extra 2 months to come out of your construction loan into a permanent loan, you're going to pay like an extra $12,000 just in closing and holding costs. After I did the math, I would have paid close to $30,000 just in holding costs for the projects. That money, again, would have been interest-only payments, and none of that would have gone towards the principal of paying down the loan. At the end of the day, I recommend going out and trying to find a non-QM lender before using a hard money lender. You'll get better rates, and they will allow you to ask for more when it comes to different financing structures. I hope this video has helped with determining what type of lender to use. If you're just starting out, I would recommend using a residential lender and getting a residential loan. Live in it for about 6 months, then move out and start renting it out on a place like Airbnb or VRBO. If you plan on doing multiple houses at the same time and have experience building, or if your GC has experience building, I recommend using a portfolio lender. In the part 2 of this video, I'm going to talk about the exact questions to ask the lenders you're going to be talking to, and also I'm going to go over why I asked those specific questions. If you have any other questions, just feel free to ask them in the comments below. Also, I started doing some one-on-one consulting. The link to that's in the description below. I hope this video has helped with that, and I'll see you guys in the part 2 of the video.